Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mindverse. Today we are diving into something that is both mysterious and incredibly important for understanding the history of our solar system, the dangers we face from space, and even the possibilities for our future. We're talking about asteroids, those giant space rocks that float through our solar system, carrying secrets from billions of years ago. They might seem like just chunks of stone, but in reality, asteroids are like time capsules of the universe, holding answers to the past, the present, and maybe even the future of humanity. So today, let's uncover the top 10 asteroid facts that will truly blow your mind. Let's start with something fascinating. Asteroids are basically leftovers from the birth of our solar system. Imagine the time about 4.6 billion years ago when the sun had just formed, surrounded by a swirling disk of gas and dust. From this cosmic material, the planets were born. But not everything managed to clump together into planets. Some pieces were left floating in space, never becoming a planet, and those leftovers are what we now call asteroids. This makes them incredibly important because they are like frozen snapshots of the time when our solar system was just beginning. By studying them, scientists can understand how Earth and other planets came to exist. Every asteroid you hear about is essentially a piece of our solar system's history, untouched and ancient. Now here's a mind-blowing fact. There aren't just a few asteroids out there, there are literally millions of them. The largest collection of them exists in what we call the asteroid belt, which lies between Mars and Jupiter. This belt is packed with rocks ranging from tiny pebbles to giant bodies hundreds of kilometers wide. But don't think of it as a dense field where asteroids are bumping into each other constantly like in the movies. In reality, the asteroids are spread out over such a vast distance that they're actually very far apart. Still, the sheer number of asteroids is unbelievable. Scientists estimate there could be more than 1 million asteroids larger than 1 kilometer in size, and millions more that are smaller. And while most of them stay in the asteroid belt, some stray into orbits that bring them dangerously close to Earth. These are the ones scientists worry about most. Speaking of size, let's talk about how massive some asteroids really are. Many people imagine asteroids as small rocks floating in space, but some of them are absolutely gigantic. The largest one, called Ceres, is so big that it's officially classified as a dwarf planet. Ceres is about 590 miles, or 940 kilometers, across. That's larger than some countries. Imagine standing on the surface of something like that. It wouldn't just feel like a rock, it would feel like an entire world. And then there are other giant asteroids like Vesta, Pallas, and Hygiea, each hundreds of kilometers wide. These bodies are massive enough to hold secrets about the formation of planets, and may even contain water and other materials. On the other hand, smaller asteroids the size of a mountain or even a city are also common. And even those smaller ones are dangerous. An asteroid just a kilometer wide could cause destruction on a global scale if it ever hit Earth. That shows how even relatively small asteroids carry massive power. Now let's talk about one of the most famous asteroid stories of all time, the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. About 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid, roughly 10 kilometers wide, slammed into Earth near what is now Mexico's peninsula. The impact created a huge crater called Chicxulub. The explosion released energy billions of times greater than a nuclear bomb. It sent dust and debris high into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight for months or even years. Temperatures dropped, plants died, and the food chain collapsed. That event caused the extinction of around 75% of all species on Earth, including the dinosaurs. If that asteroid had missed Earth, dinosaurs might still be roaming today, and humans might never have evolved. It's a powerful reminder that asteroids are not just harmless space rocks. They are forces of nature that can change the course of life on Earth forever. But here's where things get really interesting. Asteroids may not just bring destruction, they might also have given us the gift of life. Some scientists believe that asteroids played a key role in delivering the ingredients for life to Earth. How? Well, when scientists studied certain asteroids, they found evidence of water and organic molecules, the basic building blocks of life. It's possible that during the early days of Earth, when it was being bombarded by asteroids, some of these space rocks brought water and carbon-based molecules with them. These could have mixed into the oceans and eventually led to the development of life. In other words, without asteroids there might not have been dinosaurs, humans, or any life at all. So while they can bring death, they might also have brought life. That's one of the most mind-blowing paradoxes about these space rocks. And here's another fact that will surprise you. Asteroids aren't just floating rocks, they could actually be worth trillions of dollars. That's because many asteroids are rich in metals like iron, nickel, cobalt, platinum, and even gold. In fact, a single asteroid named Psyche is believed to contain so much metal that its value could exceed the entire global economy. This has led to the idea of asteroid mining. Imagine a future where humans don't dig into Earth for resources but instead travel to space to mine asteroids. Companies and space agencies are already seriously considering this possibility. If it becomes a reality, it could completely change our economy, providing us with nearly unlimited resources. Of course, it also raises big questions about who would own those resources and how they'd be used. One of the coolest things about asteroids is that some of them even have moons. Yes, you heard that right. Just like Earth has the moon, some asteroids are big enough to have their own little companions orbiting around them. For example, asteroid Ida has a tiny moon named Dactyl. This shows just how diverse and complex these objects can be. Some asteroids even travel in pairs or clusters, almost like families of space rocks moving together. It's incredible to think that these seemingly random chunks of rock can form their own mini-systems in the vast emptiness of space. Now, because asteroids can pose a threat to Earth, scientists are constantly monitoring them. Agencies like NASA and the European Space Agency keep track of thousands of near-Earth asteroids. They use powerful telescopes and radar to calculate their orbits and predict if any of them could collide with Earth. This work is known as planetary defense, and it's one of the most important ongoing efforts in space science. Imagine if scientists discovered an asteroid on a collision course with Earth decades before impact. That warning time could mean the difference between preventing a disaster and facing extinction. Right now, no known large asteroid is predicted to hit Earth anytime soon, but smaller ones still pass close by every year. In fact, new near-Earth asteroids are discovered all the time. Monitoring them is critical to keeping Earth safe. But scientists aren't just watching asteroids from a distance, they've actually sent missions to touch them. One of the most exciting examples is NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission. This spacecraft traveled millions of miles to reach a near-Earth asteroid called Bennu. It spent years studying the asteroid up close, mapping its surface, and then finally reached out with a robotic arm to grab a sample of its soil and dust. In 2023, that sample was brought back to Earth. Now scientists are studying it to learn more about the building blocks of our solar system. This is like having a piece of the early solar system sitting right here on Earth for scientists to examine. Missions like this are groundbreaking because they give us direct evidence of what asteroids are made of and how they might have influenced Earth's history. And here's the hopeful part. For the first time in history, we've proven that it's possible to change the path of an asteroid. In 2022, NASA's DART mission, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, deliberately crashed a spacecraft into an asteroid called Dimorphos. The goal was simple but groundbreaking: see if the impact could shift the asteroid's orbit even slightly, and it worked. The collision shortened Dimorphos's orbit by about 32 minutes. That might not sound like much, but in space terms, it was a massive achievement. It proved that if we detect a dangerous asteroid early enough, we might be able to nudge it off course and save Earth from disaster. For the first time ever, humanity wasn't just observing the universe. We were actively shaping it, proving that cosmic threats aren't unchangeable. This was a first step toward true planetary defense, and it gave us hope that we, Dan-T, have to be helpless in the face of space dangers. But not all asteroids are dangerous. Not every encounter is terrifying. Some are simply uninspiring. Every year, astronomers discover new near-Earth asteroids that pass relatively close to our planet. Some of them come within a few 100,000 kilometers, closer than the moon. Most pass by harmlessly silent visitors racing through the dark. But the thought of a rock the size of a skyscraper flying past Earth and missing us by what is basically a cosmic hair is both humbling and chilling. It reminds us how fragile our planet really is. When you see those simulations of asteroids sailing past Earth, it feels like the universe is reminding us that it's alive, in constant motion, and full of unseen activity. What makes these wanderers even more fascinating is how incredibly different they are from one another. Some are jagged and irregular, like broken fragments of a shattered world, spinning wildly through the void. Others are surprisingly spherical, shaped over time by their own gravity. Some are solid chunks of rock or metal. Others are rubble piles, loose clusters of boulders and dust barely held together. Bennu is one of these rubble piles, and that's what made landing on it so difficult. Imagine trying to land on a giant floating pile of gravel where every touch could send particles drifting away. It's like trying to step onto something that doesn't even want to stay together. That's the strange reality of these objects. Each asteroid has its own personality, its own story carved into its surface by billions of years of collisions and cosmic weathering. Studying them is like reading ancient pages from the diary of the solar system. Every crater, every scar tells us something about the history of our universe. And beyond the science, they represent something even bigger. They embody both fear and hope. On one hand, they remind us that life on Earth is fragile, that a single impact could change everything. On the other hand, they carry within them resources, knowledge, and even possibilities that could help humanity survive in the far future. Think about it. Without asteroids, Earth might never have received the water and organic material needed to spark life billions of years ago. And with asteroids, humanity might one day expand beyond Earth itself. They're symbols of creation and destruction, of danger and opportunity. Silent rocks floating through space, yet holding within them the power to shape entire worlds. Some scientists even imagine that one day humans might live on or inside asteroids. A large asteroid could be hollowed out, turned into a rotating habitat with artificial gravity. Its thick walls could shield its inhabitants from cosmic radiation. It could become a home for thousands of people drifting quietly through the solar system. If Earth ever became uninhabitable, asteroids might act like lifeboats, carrying humanity across the stars. It sounds like science fiction now, but so many things that were once science fiction are already reality. Imagine explaining satellites, rovers on Mars, or the International Space Station to someone a few centuries ago. They would have thought it was impossible, yet here we are. Every asteroid we study surprises us. Some are brighter than expected, shining like cosmic mirrors. Others are darker than coal, practically invisible. Some spin slowly, taking days to rotate, while others spin so fast they nearly tear themselves apart. Some travel alone, others come in pairs, orbiting one another like miniature solar systems. They may look like simple rocks from a distance, but up close each one is unique, like fingerprints of the cosmos. This uniqueness also makes predicting asteroid paths one of the biggest challenges. Their orbits can be influenced by so many tiny forces: gravity from planets, collisions, or even the Yarkovsky effect, where sunlight heating one side of the asteroid more than the other gives it a tiny push. Over decades, that small push can shift its path. These nudges make long-term predictions tricky. That's why constant observation and recalculation are critical. Every telescope scan, every radar sweep, every mission adds to our ability to understand and protect ourselves. Missions like OSIRIS-REx, Hayabusa, and DART aren't just about curiosity, they're about survival. For billions of years, asteroids drifted silently, unnoticed. But now, in just the last century, humanity developed the tools to see them, track them, study them, and even visit them. We've touched their surfaces, collected their dust, and even altered their orbits. That's an incredible leap. From fearing asteroids as omens of doom, we now see them as teachers, allies, and stepping stones to our future. These objects that once symbolized death and destruction may one day be the very reason we expand into space. The next time you hear about an asteroid passing close to Earth, don't think of it as just a rock. Think of it as a messenger from the past, a key to the future, and a reminder of how small we are in the vast cosmos. Asteroids are survivors. They've wandered space since the birth of the solar system, carrying secrets older than Earth. They hold the power to end civilizations, but also the potential to help them thrive. They are both destroyers and creators. And as we continue to explore them, we aren't just learning about rocks, we're learning about ourselves, about where we came from and where we might be headed. Asteroids may look lifeless, but they are storytellers. They whisper tales of the birth of worlds, of catastrophic impacts that reshaped life, of hidden treasures buried deep inside, and of possibilities for humanity's next adventure. To ignore them would be to ignore our history and our future. To study them is to embrace the universe's greatest lessons. And maybe one day, when humanity finally leaves Earth to settle among the stars, it will be with the help of the resources, knowledge, and inspiration we gain from these wandering rocks. These silent travelers may not speak, but if we listen carefully, they have so much to teach us. About survival, about creation, about destruction, and about the infinite possibilities that await us out there. Asteroids are more than space rocks. They are the past, the present, and perhaps the future of humanity itself.